Hello and welcome to Intersection, where people, ideas, and issues come together on KBIA radio and on the web. I'm Ruben Stern. Today we're going to talk about the future of where we live. As Columbia grows, the quality of life in our area continues to get better in many ways, but with growth usually comes a little pain. And on top of that, there's no denying that the economic troubles facing the country are showing up right here in mid-Missouri. So what needs to be done to address the economic challenges of today? And how do today's answers fit with what you'd like to see the city become in the future? Joining the conversation today, we have two members of the Columbia City Council and someone who's going to help hold them to your vision. First, the council members. Barbara Hoppe, who was recently re-elected to represent the 6th Ward, and Jason Thornhill, the 2nd Ward councilman, who is brand new to the council. Our third guest is the Reverend Lorenzo Lawson, who is a commissioner with the city's visioning process. He's also the executive director of the Youth Empowerment Zone. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We also hope that all of you tuning in will join the conversation as well. What would you like to see Columbia's elected officials do to help mid-Missouri today and to keep the city on the right track in the future? If you're listening from outside Columbia, how do you think your city should move forward in these tough economic times? Join us online at kbiaintersection.wordpress.com or email your thoughts to intersection on kbia@gmail.com. You can also call us at 882-8925. We'll start with a question for everyone. What could the city be doing more of to alleviate the effects of the economic downturn? And Councilwoman Hoppe, why don't we start with you?
Well, I think first of all, I think Columbia is in a good position vis-a-vis the rest of the country in terms of the economic downturn. And we've been like that for a long time because of our economic base in the university and the medical institutions and insurance companies. We're suffering not as greatly as other places. What we're doing immediately is taking a good look at the budget and trying to trim things and cut expenses that are not essential and necessary, and find ways to trim costs without affecting the essential services. So I think that's immediately. And then we've done a lot in terms of looking to create new jobs with partnering with the university and the Discovery Ridge Center and creating shovel-ready sites. And also, I think a real big potential is creating green jobs. We need to look at our energy supply for the future. And one of the big recommendations was to reduce demand by conserving and making our buildings more energy efficient. And that has a lot of possibility for creating lots of jobs for young people and for industry.
Mm-hmm. Councilman Thornhill.
Well, as I am new to the whole process, I do think that the key is focusing on the budget and realizing where we can spend money and where we cannot. But what I'd like to see more of is collaborating with the university, with READY and organizations that are here to, that we should take advantage of what we have and utilize the folks that are willing to come up with new ideas, focus on trying to create new jobs.
Mm-hmm. Reverend Lawson, what do you think the council could be doing more of?
Well, I'm not sure if they can do more of anything, but what they're doing is examine the problem, being open to suggestions of how to create jobs, and also looking at, as the council lady said, how to be more efficient with the budget. I believe that one of the things that I think that should be is prioritizing, looking at more of investment in some of the things of human capital. And we got a beautiful city, and we continue to beautify it. And I think that some of that can be used in getting jobs for some of the people who are underemployed. And I think that they are doing a good job at that.
Let's talk about that in terms of creating jobs for the underemployed. What might that look like? What sort of specific things could be done to help get people who don't have jobs into jobs at this point in Columbia?
Well, one of the things, just starting yesterday at the Career Center, the Obama administration have what is called the Next Generation Job Initiative, and they are actually going to pay some of our youth from 16 to 24 on job training, such as green jobs, solar panel, training them how to install them and different things. So I believe that the government is trying to do all that they possibly can to help turn this economical crisis around.
Mm-hmm. Councilwoman Hoppe, you talked about green jobs as well. What is the city doing to create more green jobs so far?
Well, we do have about $1 million in stimulus funds, and a recommendation by our consultants in terms of doing more in terms of conservation. So we're looking at how we want to spend that, and creating jobs is part of that package. But also in terms of, as I was saying before, we have a weatherization program, and we have stimulus funds for weatherization, so that will create auditing jobs and jobs with insulation and working on buildings as construction is sort of on the downturn right now. So those are some possibilities.
Right. And I guess one of the questions I wonder about, Reverend Lawson, you work with a lot of the people who are most in need of jobs at this point in our community. How do we bridge the gap between what those people already know how to do and these kinds of new jobs that are being created related to environmental initiatives? What can we do to bridge that?
Well, that's a big problem there. The disconnect, a lot of the people who are underemployed, they come with baggages. And they don't, on paper, they don't look like the best employees. And one of the things that we're doing to try to compensate for that in that area is bring more training to help them with mentors. We're getting more people in to be role models and guides to assist some of these people. We are asking the city to maybe lower just a little bit of the standards in some of that area. If we can place them with job site mentors, that it's been proven that the retention rate of that particular person, especially a young person, it goes up tremendously. So, and the city have been very, very willing to do that, because, I mean, if we don't create the jobs, then what it does, it creates other illness in the community, such as crime rising. All of these things kind of coincide with one another. So we got to create opportunities for them to do something positive to make a living and to pay the bills. And I know that the city is aware of that, and they're trying to do everything they possibly can to help.
We have input from people online. The conversation is taking place in the chat room in addition to our discussion here. And one of the questions that has come up there is, does any of the three of you have some knowledge of any other communities where the economic models for the community is not based on the community actually growing or getting larger? And what might that look like if that were something that we talked about here in Columbia? You're part of the Smart Growth Coalition, so is there some tangent to that in the work that you've done?
I don't think there's any well-functioning community that's not growing, but so the issue is not growing or not growing, but how you're growing. So I think the well-functioning communities are growing, but growing in a way that makes good use of the resources. So I think the communities that are attracting businesses look at the whole picture. And so they're creating more mixed-use areas. They have good centralized transportation systems so people can get to work and people can get to education and technical training. And they have, like in Philadelphia, they have some training programs for young people. And actually, people are coming back from the prison system, nonviolent offenders, and trying to reintegrate them into society and train them in green jobs so that they can support their families. So communities are doing that. Other communities are doing that in a good way. And I think Columbia is working on that